Hey guys.
Hi, welcome. Sorry, we had some technical difficulties.
We're still kind of working on setting up this new space.
Yes.
Which is kind of fun. We're not at the shop today.
Sounds echoey.
It is echoey. Okay, we'll figure it out.
I'm sorry, guys.
We're not at the shop today, and hopefully we won't be again for these.
Which should be awesome.
Which would be awesome, which means we shouldn't have to deal with telling anybody this is not a gas station or the mailman or anything else. It'll be weird, but fun. Anyway, I'm just getting this one threaded and ready to go. Yeah. So you want to tell them what we're doing today?
Yeah, so today we are going to talk, sorry, still trying to find the video. We're going to talk quarter square triangles. If you're unfamiliar with that term, it is commonly called an hourglass block as well. But what it is simply just that. It's a half square triangle done twice.
Right.
So they're quarter square triangles. They can be a little tricky or tough to get perfect, to get that point right there in the middle and everything just right. So we're going to talk about some tips and tricks to do that. This is the Exploding Heart Quilt as designed by Laura Pyland from Slice of Pie Quilts that I made up using Tula's True Colors because it felt appropriate.
Right. It's gorgeous.
And kits are still going to be available. The rest of the fabric is on its way to us, so you can still order one.
Our earliest pre-orders are shipped or ready to pick up like today,
and then the next round will be in about a week. Mm-hmm. So we should still be shipping
They
soon.
were wonderfully popular, which is awesome.
Which
I love that. We're not going to complain about that at all. It just means we needed some more of this and a couple of the colors in it, but it's on its way to us, so those will be out. So you can still put in an order for one, just don't expect it to ship today. It'll be more like a week or so.
Yep. Okay, sorry, my phone is not finding us at all.
Okay.
See, this is what I got.
Oh.
When I log into Facebook.
You know, why don't you drop the Wi-Fi?
Need to get off the Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Sometimes that just makes things bad.
Here we go.
It's like, I got 4G for a reason. Let's do that.
So much better.
Okay. There we are.
Anyway, so let's talk quarter square triangles.
Yay.
So first I want to talk quilt math. Be patient. So we all know the difference between finished size and unit size. Okay?
Well,
finished size
let's go over that really
is
quick.
sewn into a quilt. Okay?
So there are actually 3 sizes we need to talk about. There's cut size, the size you cut. The next is unit size. Now a unit can be just a regular half square triangle, or like with this one where it's a quarter square triangle. This is your unit, 4 raw edges. Okay, that's a unit. And then finished size is in here
into the quilt. The size it ends up when I've pieced it together.
Right, no raw edges, that's finished.
So with that, I am not doing the size that is in this quilt today, strictly because I believe in copyright and I don't want to give it away, and I know people will be like, oh, well, if I know what size it is, I can figure it out myself. And I think Laura did an amazing job writing this pattern, and I want her to get all the credit.
Right.
So we're using a different size today. So cut size, our initial cut size that we're going to use today is 4.5 inches. 4.5 inches cut is going to finish at 3 inches in the quilt.
Right. And that's because every seam we're going to lose half an inch. So if we start at 4.5, our half square triangles are going to be 4. Our quarter square triangle unit is going to be 3.5. And then our finished unit will be 3. So for every seam you do, plan to lose half an inch.
So when we do half square triangles, we tell you to go up 3/8 of an inch. That's the rule. We tell you to go up half because we believe in squaring up. Quarter square triangles, you go up an inch.
Right, instead of half an inch, go up an inch.
So that's our basic quilt math to figure out your own quarter square triangles. Okay, so to start with, you guys, this is going to be really fancy. You have to have 4 squares. You make these 4 at a time. Okay, so because this is scrappy, I'm going to take 4 different fabrics. I'm just going to pair them up.
Right. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
They're all going to touch each other.
2 sets, right sides together. Do you want me to draw on them?
No, we have.
Jen's going to use the Cluck Cluxo seam tape.
Right, diagonal seam tape.
So
best stuff ever.
Step number 1, make half square triangles.
Right.
Okay? Quarter of it. If you're the line drawing type, draw a line so 1/4 of an inch on either side. Really basic. Step number 1.
Right. Half square triangles. And if you want a reminder on how those work, we have a video.
Yes.
Just go to our YouTube channel.
I need to grab my rotary cutter.
Oh, yes. I could have handed it to you.
I know, but I thought you had your way. Guys, we got these great new cases in the shop for rotary cutters. This is your travel rotary cutter case, so that you don't just throw your cutter in your bag and cut yourself.
Guys, but look, there's an extra pocket. Sorry, I had to bring mine because I love it. I put my snips and a friction pen and a little ruler in there.
Yes.
Isn't that fun?
Anyway, they're fun.
Sorry. I had to bring mine because, yeah, I kind of think it's awesome.
They are awesome. So I'm going to let her sew those 2 half square triangles, and then we're going to cut them apart and do step number 1.
Right, which is make them into half square triangles.
So when you do this, you can press either direction. You can press to one side, or you can press open. I find yes. Okay, so I find with half square, when I'm going to do something like this, I'm a press open type. I find that I am actually more accurate when I press to a side. Because what it does is it takes any waviness out of that seam and it kind of just flattens it out.
Right.
So we're going to go ahead and press to one side here.
And we're going to just set this aside for the moment because we'll make one.
You don't need to watch me make 4.
No, we'll make 1.
Okay.
And then she can go home and turn them into something else fun. Because I'm sure she will. There's all these pretty little blocks that...
There's a puppy at my door. That
should definitely do something. Yeah, Mama's friend George wants to come in and say hello. But I think we'll leave George out there for today. I mean, he's a sweetheart, but...
Yes.
He probably won't knock things over the way my Gus would.
Yeah, I guess it just tear the place apart. Okay, so now what we have is 2 half square triangles. Okay, there are a couple different ways to do this. There's another reason that I like to press to the side on this, and I'm going to show you in just a minute. You can square these up now, which will make you more accurate. So I started with a 4.5 inch square. If you want to get super accurate on these, which is not a bad way to go, you guys.
Ever.
You would now trim them to 4 inches.
I think it's just a good idea to trim it up. I mean, there's another school of thought on there where it's, well, now just whack it in half and then we'll square it all up.
But I'm going to show you why it's kind of helpful. I know it's an extra step. I know it's a step that not everybody advocates for.
You have a rotating cutting mat. You want to use the benefit of that.
That's why I was like, I need to move that crap out of the way so I can use the rotating factor on the mat.
Have you guys used a rotating cutting mat?
Squaring up half square triangles.
For squaring up. Plus, I like the size it is just because, I mean, it's a good travel size mat too. Okay. So
you'll notice I'm just using my 4.5 inch square ruler, lining it up on the diagonal.
Nothing fancy. If you've got a block, that's great. But square it up.
A block lock will not help you on the next step though.
No, block lock won't help with quarter square triangle.
And I'm going to show you something that will in just a second. I think George was wondering why we were talking so much. Okay, so there's my scraps. So I have my 2 pieces right here. They're now squared up, and the reason I do that is because if you go to lay them out again, chances are, because we're not perfect when we make half square triangles, they're not going to be the exact same size, and so getting that perfect 45-degree line is guesswork.
It's tricky. You are hoping that you did it just right.
So what I have,
now we know,
and I'm going to line them up so that my seams go the opposite way and they nest. Okay, and then they're exactly the same size, and they're right here, and I'm going to go ahead and pin it this time. That way, keep them exactly where I want them.
You don't want it to move.
And then you're going to make half square triangles again. Okay, but what you do is you sew this line.
So you'll see a lot of people who what they would do at this step would be to cut from corner to corner and then sew it together. I don't love sewing triangles.
And it's not necessary, especially for something like this, because we are getting super scrappy.
Now, when it comes to specifically placing color blocks, sometimes that is what you have to do, in which case I would still pin like she did here and then cut.
And that way it's
so
already
that
where
it
it
stays where it needs to be. You're less likely to get wonky and stretched.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to have her go ahead and sew that as a half square triangle. And that's really what these quarter square triangles are. It's just making half square triangles
out of half square triangles.
Which, to be honest, is a lot of fun. Okay.
Well, you know our feeling about scrappy.
I love scrappy.
Scrappy's always fun.
I am done with that ruler, so I'm going to show you what I'm going to do next.
Okay. This is Liz's favorite quarter square trimming product.
This is, you guys, I made a sewing mat for my machine from Lori Holt's Quilting Fun book years ago, and it has, you do 1,000,000 quarter square triangles. And I am an absolute perfectionist, and y'all know that. It drives me nuts to have to do guesswork. And so I was out there looking for a ruler that I could square up these quarter square triangles with. And the thing is, like, guys, I love my regular rulers, but they have one 45-degree line. And in order to be able to square up quarter square triangles perfectly with a ruler like this, you need one the exact size of your unit.
Right, so if what I'm finishing up is this 4.5-inch size, it works just fine for quarter square triangles because I can get this nice 45-degree line on one of the angles and then make sure the 4 corners all fit on one of these. Now what you'll notice is this is 4.5. I would need a 3.5-inch square
to do this.
And then you have to own a lot of rulers, which is all well and good, but it's nice to have something a little better.
Scoured the internet.
Right.
Because I knew exactly what I wanted to find. I wanted something that had the two 45-degree lines that intersect so that I could line up both sets of lines, because sometimes you have to do a little fudging, let's be honest, like split the difference if you're not exactly on.
If it's not just
and then that way I could split the difference. Also, something that has a center mark. Okay, so this is this precision trimmer. It is not the fanciest ruler out there. It's from Feathered Star Productions, but it is fantastic. And the reason I love this is because it's for 1, 2, 3, 4.5, 5.5, 6.5, all those different sizes. And it has the two 45-degree lines and a little circle right there that should be my center. And when I can line all of those things up, I get perfect quarter square triangles.
Or really close to perfect. That way, if you need to do a little bit of fudging,
like I said, a little bit of fudging,
you know, you might be off your 32nd of an inch all the way around instead of letting one side take the brunt.
So you guys, I bought that myself off Amazon, to be honest. That's the only place I could find it.
It was before we had a quilt shop.
Well, no, my mom had just started one online. She's like, Liz, I got a bunch of rulers. I'm like, but you don't have what I need. And because I knew I was looking for something so specific. So at this point, if you found something else, let me know. But at this point, this is the best ruler I have found to get super accurate quarter square triangles. Okay, last up, pressing this guy. You guys, you can see our little perfect center right there because we nested our two seams because we pressed directionally. I know I'm an open presser, but this time, guys, it really helps.
Nesting sometimes is what you need to get the perfection.
But you guys, I am also a total nerd and a perfectionist. We've been over this. And so I am going to spin my center seam so that half goes one way and half goes the other, and the bulk ends up flat. So if you don't remember how to spin seams, what we do is we just kind of open up that middle right there. And if you just, you know, basically pull out a little bit, it'll take out those 2 stitches. And then we have this cute little open spot. And I just press right there, okay? And then I can get a flat center, which also helps keep the block from warping one way or the other.
Right, absolutely.
Okay.
So, I mean, we do this same technique when we press pinwheels.
I do it with 4 patches, you guys, because I get annoyed about them.
Just because, I mean, and And you look at this, and there are a lot of seams coming together. And I mean, I can tell, feeling this as I quilted, the center of these blocks is flatter. Where I get puffiness is where they're coming together, because you're gonna get that. But it's nice to be flat.
As a long armor, I love things as flat as possible. Now to square it up, I'm gonna go ahead and get my trimmer. You guys, these are gonna square up to the 3.5 inch size. I'm gonna figure out how to show you this. But here's what I got. I got it lining up on 2 lines right there, 2 lines this way, and a center dot, which can show me exactly what to trim off the other sides. Now, if you go like half square triangle and just go one way and then turn around to go the other, what's going to happen is your center doesn't end up centered.
In the center.
And that is...
And then you have
an
wonky
issue.
quarter square triangles. And we don't want wonky quarter square triangles. I mean, unless that's the look you're going for, which could be kind of a fun wonky pattern. So you need to know where the center is. I mean, it's similar to when we're squaring up flying geese. That tip of the goose needs to be in the right
show
place.
them what this looks like?
Yep, let me zoom in.
I want you guys to see this just because it really, the squaring up on this is a big deal. We do have cameras coming so we can do directional shots, but first we have to learn how to do that.
All right, we also have microphones so we can get rid of this
Echo.
echo.
Yeah.
But we've got to learn how to use those too.
Okay, so I want you to be able to see. I've got my center right here where this circle is. I've got one 45-degree line going this way and one 45-degree line going that way. And that tells me my block is exactly where I want it, okay? I already trimmed the one side. Now we just go around and trim the other. And then it's perfect. The hard part, you guys, is if you're using just the right square size of ruler, pretending this is a 3.5 inch square, I mean, my middle's right there. On this one, there's a little 45-degree mark.
Well,
where the middle
and you could do the math.
You can do the math.
Even with this ruler right here that's too big, you could do the math. If it's 3.5, the center would be 1 3/4 over and 1 3/4
right
down. So you definitely can use any ruler. You just need to do the math. So figure out the size of your unit, divide that in half, and go over that amount and down.
But what you're wanting
that
to
amount.
do is make sure you have that in the middle. This
On a 45-degree
And then what
line.
you would be looking for too is that this point ends up at 3.5 inch on my ruler, and this point's at 3.5 inches. And so you can do it manually with any ruler, but this one is just so easy to read that way. See, look at that.
It's very handy.
Ta-da!
Why don't
I'm
you
all lined
square up that other one really quick while I'm zoomed in?
Okay.
It's down below. I'm going to make her do it again so you guys can see it up close. Because, you know, squaring up, I think, is one of the most important steps. We talk a lot about with quilting that sewing is really a minimal thing that we do.
Okay, so here we go. Center, I've got my 2 diagonal lines.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whack off what's sitting outside. I like to
Cover
tell
what
people
you keep.
who are newer to quilting, we cover what we keep. Your ruler should cover the part of the fabric that we intend to keep.
Yeah. And then there we go. And what we have is 2 perfect 3.5 inch quarter square triangles. And if I did the other ones, we'd have 4. But you make them 4 at a time, you guys. They're really not scary. They're a lot of fun. And
Hold on, I'm going to zoom back.
Sorry.
She wants to show you the quilt again, and I'm not to where you can see it. There you
And
go.
you end up with a super fun project. I love pixelated projects. You guys know that. I love heart projects. I love rainbow projects.
Right.
These kind of things will make me happy. This quilt is a fantastic combination of all of those things.
All of the favorites.
Which is fun. The Tula Fairy Dust in the Cotton Candy is my probably all-time favorite background.
We also have this one, what would be a really fun background, in the Whisper, which is
light
a very
gray.
light gray. And it could be really fun as well. So if you want a kit and you want the Whisper instead of the Cotton Candy, I know Cotton Candy, we think pink a lot of times. What they mean is cream. But if you want it with the Whisper, let us know. We're happy to sub it out.
The ruler is the precision trimmer. This is the 6-inch version.
There's also a 3-inch version.
There's a 3-inch version,
smaller one.
But I really like the 6, you guys. It's very versatile. It's like $14.95.
It does more sizes.
And I have used it on, and you can use it for half square triangles too.
Oh yeah.
I have used it for so many projects. And because I'm an open presser, quite often the block locks do nothing for me because I press open.
The block lock works if you press to the side.
And so this is probably one of the rulers I have bought that I use the most. But take that for whatever you believe it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
So, but this is our exploding heart.
Rainbow
This is how you
pattern.
make quarter square triangles, also known as hourglasses. You'll notice in the quilt we do like 6 different versions of quarter square triangles in here. Some of them are quarter square on one half and half square on the other half, which is kind of fun.
Right. Which is going to be the same technique. It's
Same
just
technique.
that when you put the second piece of fabric on there, it's going to be one solid piece of fabric instead of something that's that we made into a half square triangle.
So it's all the same technique, but it's a lot of fun. But if you want one of these, speak now, because someday Sarita is going to get tired of ordering fabric to make it. So
she'll be like, we're done. And someday we may not be able to get more of it.
Yes.
Thankfully, Free Spirit's been reprinting the true colors, which
and
means
they plan
we can
to
get more.
for quite a while.
Yep.
But you never know when that's the thing about basics. They create these basics lines, and when we refer to basics, it means that it will be reprinted.
Right. So
But
most of your fabric lines, it gets printed once. Maybe if you're very, very lucky, they do a second printing, and then it's done, and it's gone forever.
Basics are a reprintable line. It's a line that the brand has decided that they're going to keep on
hand, in
essentially.
stock, available.
But-
And it's usually something that a designer like Tool will work into her other lines.
But it's like her stripes, her 10 stripes, and her
polka dots. Yeah.
that she works in over and over and over again. The thing
Those are
is,
basics.
though, basics eventually stop getting printed too, because they're always creating new basics lines,
Right.
and everyone only has so much warehouse space and so much printing.
Well, and
ability.
we only carry so much, and eventually we decide
we stop carrying.
we're going to do a different basic.
So while I say it's a basic, what I mean is it's going to be available for a while, but I'm also going to add a caveat that it means it won't be available forever, because outside of Kona solids, I don't know anything that is.
Right.
And even those get backordered.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, sometimes it does.
But anyway, thanks for joining us this morning. We will work on improving our setup here some more.
We're going to keep working on it, but it is kind of nice to have a space that's ours.
Leave, it's
We
fun.
can leave it all set up. We don't have to put the shop back together this morning.
I know, that's so exciting.
And nobody's opened the door.
I know.
We're here.
That's crazy. Weird. Anyway, thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Next time. Next week.
Have a good one.
Bye guys.
Put my rotary cutter